Yeah, we'll do Hero Hayes. Hero Hay usually is pretty good on reporting. Yeah, he's usually pretty good with this stuff. He's pretty objective, pretty informative. So we will do Hero Hayes video about Visa and MasterCard. Basically, from what I've been hearing, is Visa and MasterCard are extorting Steam for ideology. So let's take a look at this. By the way, mods, if you haven't already, please switch the stream category back to just chatting or VTubers, whichever, depending on the platform. Yes, J-Ted, we may get to that. I'm not sure. We may try to get to it. So, yep, and thank you, Revan. Alerts off. All right, so let's take a look-see.
So you might have recently heard about this news regarding Steam and payment processors dictating what sort of content Steam can or cannot sell, which is, first of all, reminiscent to stuff we've talked about occurring in Japan with, similarly, payment processors going after certain Japanese websites and doing the same thing there, dictating what content they're allowed to have or not have.
Yes, and that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. This is what we're seeing an acceleration of this. The payment processors are definitely putting the boots on the necks of businesses. Yeah, they did it to Pixiv, they did it to Patreon, they did it to Japanese product companies. They're doing it to a lot of fucking companies where it's like the credit card company is going to dictate what the business can sell. Duran, Japan was the latest. They actually did Pixiv and Patreon first before they hit those Japan companies. The other two is what they went after first. And I'm pretty sure they also went after DeviantArt. Because I know DeviantArt changed their rules about what kind of, quote, adult content could be on there. They didn't say it was due to their payment processors. But I have to wonder now if the reason why DeviantArt came up with those rules, where a lot of artists left DeviantArt because of the new restrictions that DeviantArt put into place. DeviantArt has payment processing. So, DeviantArt has, where they have subscriptions through DeviantArt. Well, Alex, they didn't outright say it was because of their payment processors, but now that we're seeing this, I have to wonder if DeviantArt may have been one of the early iterations of this, but they just didn't advertise the fact that Visa and MasterCard were forcing to do it. I don't know if they did or not. I will say this is speculative. I have no evidence to substantiate it, but see, given the pattern we are seeing, where with DeviantArt, it was specifically related to adult content. And given the pattern we're seeing, I have to wonder if what happened to DeviantArt a year or two ago is the result of Visa and MasterCard saying, nope, we don't like this. You can't allow this or we're going to cease payment processing for your website. So it's like GBP right now, I think they legally can. But if the government starts pushing back on it, that would be the only way to really stop it. Doc, that's an excellent question. Now, the hub is slightly a different situation because certain areas, certain geographic areas are requiring, that you prove you're an adult, but not as a whole. So I don't know. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they're gearing up to try and go after places like the hub. I don't know. Yeah, but Hunter, there's a problem with saying that they are a business, therefore have the right to refuse service to someone. There's a problem with that. They are a business that has become an essential service because the world does not work anymore without these two credit card processors, Visa and MasterCard. The world will not work without them. The world has become wholly dependent, and thus, yes, Revan, they've become a monopoly. And that changes things dramatically. And that's why I'm thinking governments need to start getting in on this. And honestly, I'm not counting on the US government to do it. I think honestly, the government that's going to actually spearhead going after Visa and MasterCard is going to be the EU. The EU right now is the forefront leaders in consumer rights. So I am not expecting the US to do anything about it, but I am wondering if the EU is going to step up and try to do something about it. But who knows? Well, the problem is, Revin, Discover is very minimally used. Discover is the least of the credit cards, and American Express is not for everyone. American Express, unless it's changed, American Express is more picky in who they will issue credit cards to. It's not like, Visa or MasterCard, just about anybody can get a Visa or MasterCard from, somewhere. Even if it's like a high interest rate or something, just about everybody can get a Visa or MasterCard. American Express is much more picky when it comes to who they will issue a credit card to. Hunter, you say Discover is growing? Growing is not enough. Not to run the world right now. That's the problem. Visa and MasterCard are basically running the world, and this is dangerous. They have an unbelievable amount of power throughout the entire world. Okay. Doc, yes, a debit card. Debit cards don't necessarily function like credit cards, particularly with online transactions. The debit cards that do are backed by Visa or MasterCard. So when you use your debit card, you're using it as a Visa card. So even with bank cards, you're still not safe because it's still backed by Visa or it's still backed by MasterCard. And so if the Visa or MasterCard say, we're not going to let you process through our systems because we don't like what you're doing, your bank card won't even work. That's the crazy thing.
On that website. And so here with Steam, we're essentially seeing the same thing. The screenshot shows section 15 highlighted, and it reads, content that may violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processors and related card networks and banks or internet network providers, in particular, certain kinds of adult-only content.
Yeah. So, set forth by Steam's payment processors and network providers. We heard about this one before, where the network providers are trying to dictate what can be done and what cannot be done, and now we're seeing it more with the payment processors, where Visa and MasterCard is dictating what you as an adult have access to in terms of adult content. And, it is? Twitch mods, can someone switch the category back to just chatting, please?
With the Reddit user posting this, adding, this is possibly related to PayPal because people in certain regions have not been able to use it to pay on Steam for the past 5 days. Permalink to list of removals from the store requires non-limited Steam account to view. All right, now let's scroll up and see the actual title of this post. Sometimes YouTube is a little bit, let's just say, funny with certain content at the very beginning, at the very start of a video. And you'll see why I'm mentioning that as we read the title here. So it says, from our Steam 1 day ago, Steam has added a new rule disallowing games that violate the rules and standards set forth by payment processors and card networks or internet network providers. At the same time, many incest-themed games were removed from the store. And as the top comment here would essentially say, the issue here is not whether you agree with that sort of content or not. That's not.
Yes. This one right here. This top comment. When I think it's this published me. Wow. I think it's debatable what kind of content should be more okay to sell or not. The credit card companies shouldn't be the one to make that call. When we are allowing credit card companies to be the moral arbiters of the population of the planet, that's a fucking problem. Especially when, I don't know if Hirohei is going to get into this, when you have special interest groups that are severely leaning in one way or DEI heavy, lobbying these credit card companies to act on their behalf. It's like it should like credit card companies should not be able to basically impose their moral righteousness on people. It should not. That should not be allowed. You are a credit card company. Your whole job is processing payments. You as the credit card companies should not have any right to tell fucking anybody what they can or cannot purchase and what the content of that purchase is. They should have zero right to accomplish this. Yeah, exactly why. Like if the product or content is legal, the credit card companies should have zero say in the matter. Absolutely zero say. Oh, the mod should be, but if they can't, I can do. No. Okay. That's okay. If I can change it. That's easy. There we go. All right, that's fixed. Yeah, so it's we have given the credit card companies like beyond too much power to be able to facilitate this because they're starting with adult games right now, certain adult games. What happens if they decide we don't want to, we want to bar the facilitation of sale of certain political groups, certain religious groups, certain like games that we don't agree with, certain books that we don't agree with. The fact is that if they get a wild hair up their ass and they decide they don't like D&D anymore, just as an example, if the credit card company suddenly decides D&D is the devil, D&D is teaching kids how to worship the devil, we don't agree with that anymore, and so then they pull all payment processing from, say, Wizards of the Coast, saying, like, you can't sell D&D anymore. Like, this is the route in which it could very easily go. This is a 90-degree slippery slope right now. And it's fucking dangerous. The Visa and MasterCard can literally bring down the planet if they wanted to. And yeah, I agree. This screams either a big fucking lawsuit or an act of government. And but again, I don't think the US is going to do it. I do think the EU will do it. If it comes down to it, I count more on the EU doing something than the US government doing something.
The focus of this video or this issue at all. It's, of course, the issue is that these payment processors are apparently dictating what platforms like Steam can have on them. You would imagine, Steam would be deciding what Steam wants to have on their website or wants to have for sale. But for some reason, the payment processors are like, nah, actually, we decide what is and is not okay. And you better bend the knee to us. I don't know what would happen if Steam rejected this. Presumably, the payment processors might actually say, okay, we're not going to do business on your site anymore. That'd be a pretty bold.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that's why Steam capitulated. I have, Steam capitulated to this, and that's exactly why. Because if Steam basically told Visa and MasterCard, fuck off, and PayPal, I think PayPal is also involved in this. If they told them, okay, go fuck yourself, and Visa and MasterCard went, cool, we're not going to process payments for you anymore, Steam would close overnight. This was literally extortion / blackmail / however you want to describe it. But Steam was literally given no choice in this matter if they wanted to remain open as a business. And this is what would happen with literally all businesses. If Visa or MasterCard felt like putting their boot on the back of their neck, they could shut down literally any and all company on every square inch of the planet if they wanted to. In the bill, HR 987, Fair Access to Banking Act, and the Senate version S401, which would prohibit them from doing this kind of thing, is not law yet. Well, there you go, Durhan. Now, here's the question, is when they try to put it into law, number one, how many bullshit riders are they going to put into it? Because the U.S. government has this really nasty fucking habit of any time they try to introduce a bill, they try and cram everything not related to the bill into it, which will cause people in Congress not to vote on it. That's what happened with the latest fucking bill that was that made headlines about Republicans voting, quote unquote, not to release the Epstein files. The bill in question was not actually about that. The bill was about cryptocurrency, which the Republicans had. No, not that one, Hunter. This is something different. There was a bill that was brought forth in the House, I think it was. And the bill was originally a crypto bill, which the Republicans were against to begin with. Fine. And then the Epstein shit got crammed into it. Because, of course, the U.S. government doesn't know how to function, so they take something completely unrelated and cram it into a completely other unrelated bill and say, okay, let's vote on it. And so when it was voted down, then, the headlines went out, oh, the Republicans voted to not release the Epstein thing, when that had nothing to do with it. It was incredibly disingenuous, but that's how Congress works. With every fucking bill they present, they have a core bill of what they want to vote on, and then all of these special interest groups will start cramming the ever-living shit out of it with writers and other language from completely different issues, and so every bill becomes a completely globbed up fucking mess. And shouldn't be allowed. It absolutely should not be allowed that this would happen. If you're going to vote on a bill, you vote on that specific issue, nothing else. You want to tackle a different issue, you bring a separate bill up. But that's not how they do it right now, and that's why the American what is it called? A legislative branch is completely fucked right now, because they've been doing this for decades. They've been doing this for decades upon decades, and it's fucking ridiculous.
Old thing to do, but just the fact that Steam is bending the knee to this sort of thing shows that they clearly are concerned that that's a possibility, that the payment processors would completely stop doing business on Steam and facilitating those transactions. So the top comment says, Steam. When I think is debatable what kind of content should be more okay to sell or not, a little broken English there, but I think I get the point. Card companies shouldn't be the ones who decide. The response saying, yep, the way payment processors engage in censorship like this is absolutely unacceptable, and in my opinion, it's high time for regulations against that. It isn't their job to regulate what content people are allowed to pay for. It's an insane overreach and abuse of what is practically a monopoly in many cases, especially...
No, not practically. This is monopoly. Yes, it's involving two different companies, Visa and MasterCard. Yes, it is. But this is a monopoly because they work in tandem with one another. So it is this is absolutely a fucking monopoly, and it should be brought before federal court. This should be. They fucking did it to Google, for God's sake. U.S. Congress, or the U.S. judicial branch, did it to fucking Google, with Google being a monopoly with their search engine. They need to do it with the fucking credit card companies. The judicial branch, the federal attorney, the attorney general needs to bring a monopoly case against Visa and MasterCard. It has to be done. And hi, Zelina. And hi, Raiders. Sorry, I was in the middle of a rant. I wanted to finish my rant. Hi, Raiders. Hi, Zelina. How was 7 Days to Die? Did you have fun? Did you have a good time? Scout is playing at me. Welcome in. Oh, wonderful. Well, interesting. We're kind of talking about something in relation to games. We're talking about how Visa and MasterCard are basically dictating to Steam what Steam can and cannot sell in terms of adult games. So you kind of came in at the beginning of a good react because it directly ties into gaming. So, and for Raiders, for any that don't know, we're talking about how Visa and MasterCard basically told Steam, you are not going to sell these particular adult games, and if you don't take them out of your catalog, we're going to basically stop payment processing for you, which would kill Steam in its entirety. And that's what we're talking about right now.
With digital purchases, where you can't just pay in cash. It's kind of dystopian that PayPal and Visa can dictate what content is allowed to be sold on online platforms. And I'm not convinced that politicians are not somehow involved with this, like, asking for regulations.
Oh, they 100% are.
The people
they 100% are. That's why I don't trust the U.S. government to actually take action against Visa and MasterCard, and it's why I think that any action that happens will come from the EU, not the USA. So, don't count on the U.S. government to do anything. The U.S. government is they might make like a token thing, like with what you were talking about, Revan, with the bill. That's probably going to be like there's going to be all kinds of bullshit happening when they try and when they talk about it, and nothing's going to come out of it. And I think it is going to end up being the EU that's the ones that are actually going to step up and actually bring the hammer down on Visa and MasterCard. Could Steam sue them, create a precedent that they have no say in what is sold as long as it's legal in the US? Drowner? Possibly. I won't say no. This is a lawsuit. I'm not an expert on civil law. It would not surprise me if Legal Mindset actually talks about this in the near future. I would think that they would be able to bring a civil suit against Visa and MasterCard in this regard. I would certainly think so. Here's the problem. How well Steam would be able to sustain a lawsuit against Visa and MasterCard when Visa and MasterCard have loads more money than Steam does in terms of being able to pay their lawyers for an extended legal campaign. Because God knows Visa and MasterCard are going to fight it and draw it out as much as humanly possible. And they have deeper pockets than Steam. And unfortunately, the way the legal system works, at least in the US, is whoever has the deeper pockets fucking wins, typically speaking. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, if like all of the gaming services got together, Steam, GOG, Sony, Epic, if all of them got together and filed a class action suit, then then you've got a battle for the ages right there, and it could work. Steam by itself, I think their pockets just aren't deep enough to sustain a fight against Visa and MasterCard.
Who are trying to get to regulate this are in fact actually supporting this sort of action. I'm just saying. They might think like, well, why would a politician care what's on Steam? And that takes me to maybe I'm sounding like a crazy conspiracy theorist here or something, but I don't think the payment processors particularly even really care about this stuff that much. Allow me to explain. I think going after certain types of R34 content and policing that is more of a test. Maybe they care a little bit, but I don't think this is like the end all be all.
Yeah, I don't think this is a test. Well, no, it is, but I think not in the way Hirohei is talking about. They've already started their tests with Pidix and Petra. That was and again, I suspect they did it to DeviantArt, but they didn't broadcast it, so nobody knows about it. I still suspect they did to DeviantArt. They've already done their tests. Now what they're doing is they're doing a test against a big company. They're scaling up the test for company size and seeing if they can get away with the Steam. Because if they can get away with it with Steam, then that means that basically all businesses are free game for them to exercise their will in terms of what can and cannot be sold.
I think this is more of a test to see how much control they can try to have and what they can get away with. And right now, going after certain types of R34 content is basically a test for them to see if they can get platforms to bend the knee. And it's not always about like this incest
Which they already
stuff.
have. That's what I mean. They already have with R34 content, with Pivx, with DeviantArt, and with Patreon. They already succeeded in that. Again, they know they can do. They know they can get companies that deal in R34 to stop by putting the boot on the neck, and now they're just scaling up the company size to Steam levels. Same principle, but they're just Rule 34, Hunter. He's referring to Rule 34 or that type of content that you would find on Rule 34. And they're just scaling up in terms of company size of who they can bully.
That's happening on Steam right now. I've seen them previously, according to my recollection, going after a Japanese dating website, for example, saying that they're not going to support it anymore. They're not going to facilitate those transactions. And the website was literally just built for otakus to like find relationships together. Like it's like a date.
And it shut down. Leave us not forget when Visa said we will no longer. When Visa and MasterCard said we will no longer offer you payment processing for your business, it shut the fuck down. It literally killed that company. That company is no more after that. It's done. It's gone. So they literally are responsible for killing an entire company because they said, we don't agree with your product and therefore we are not going to allow payment processing for you.
Platform for otakus. So they go after stuff like that.
It's basically
Steam,
corn.
they're going after stuff like this.
It's wide variety of
corn.
And
I think it's probably all just a test. I think they're going to want to continue seeing just how much control they can have over platforms and people. Right now, that's going after certain types of R34 content and dating sites. But as the years go on, they may continue going after people for anything and platforms for anything. Again, seeing how much they can get away with, and ultimately, they just want to have as much control, as much power as they possibly can. Now, originally, I expanded on that point for another 2 minutes.
Urban, it's not going to make a difference. I feel you, but I hate to tell you, it's not going to make a difference. Every bank with their card, every bank's debit card that is issued is now typically Visa, I think maybe one or two, maybe MasterCard, but every fucking bank, when they issue you a debit card, is a Visa debit card. Every one of them. And it falls under the same rules as if you were using an actual Visa credit card.
But I'm actually cutting that out of the video. I don't think it's necessary. I expanded on that point for another 2 minutes, but I'm actually cutting that out of the video. I don't think it's necessary. I think you all clearly see the point that I'm getting at. And let me know if you agree or disagree. Again, maybe this is a crazy conspiracy
he may
theory,
get into that.
But
there is one that did.
That there's more merit to it than not. Let's take a look at some more of the comments here. Kinda sucks that they did this because of card companies and not because of their own wish. Yeah, kinda sucks is an understatement, but I gotcha.
No shit.
Hope these card/payment companies not get too ahead of themselves after this. Response reading, they always have been ahead of themselves. MasterCard and so on has been known for basically forcing the cancellation of certain products like manga. I think it's BS they basically a payment processor has any say in this. That basically a payment processor has any say in this. They shouldn't care about anything other than selling their service.
Yes, that's it exactly. Visa and MasterCard and any payment processor in total should not have any say in any product that they are offering service for. The only thing they should be concerned about is fraudulent use of said payment process. Beyond that, beyond any issues of fraud that is facilitated through their payment processing system, they should have zero fucking say about anything. None whatsoever. Think about it this way. Let's say, okay, what's a good way of, okay, this would be like you go to Best, here's a smaller scale example of how I can give you an describe of what Visa and MasterCard are doing. Say you go into a Best Buy. They're in, hi, welcome to the Raid Show. Say you go into a Best Buy, okay? You go into a Best Buy and you want to buy a laptop, okay? You want to go buy a laptop, and the Best Buy employee says, okay, so what are you going to be using the laptop for? And you make a joke and say, oh, I'm gonna watch porn with it, and the Best Buy employee says, you're not allowed to buy this laptop. That's basically what Visa and MasterCard are doing on a larger scale. It's like a Best Buy employee when you go to purchase a computer and the Best Buy employee dictates to you what you can use the computer you wish to purchase as your own private property can do with it. That is what Visa and MasterCard are doing. They are dictating what a company can or cannot do in terms of product or content that they are selling. It's the same exact thing. It's, would you, and what would you say if a Best Buy employee tried to tell you how you could or could not use your computer? You probably shit a brick and probably look at filing a lawsuit. And for the sake of this example, Best Buy is the only option for buying a computer. No other computer purchasing options exist for the sake of this example. You want to buy a computer, Best Buy says, okay, you can only use it in this way. You cannot use it in this way. And you have no choice in the matter. That is like what is happening with this situation with Visa and MasterCard.
Next response is kind of long. Let's check this out. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll read this one. This is pretty interesting. MasterCard/Visa have basically a death grip on digital sales monopolies, so it's not even PayPal or Stripe, but MasterCard/Visa that controls everything. It's also understandably why they're conservative, because they need to play ball with every nation on earth, and that's where the problem really comes from. The UK, Canada, and Australia. Well, hold on a second, though, because we have literally seen double standards already, so I don't really think that's too accurate.
God, yeah.
For example, going back to the situation I mentioned in Japan, where they went after a dating site. So you're telling me they will go after a dating site for otakus that wasn't even like, it wasn't like an R34 site. It was a dating site. So otaku dating site, oh no, that's too far. That's not okay. But
well, Hunter, it's to a degree. Now, from what I've been hearing, the adult games that they are telling Steam they had to delist involve things like incest and SA, things of that nature. Which, again, as that one commenter said, it's like you can make the argument about whether or not it is proper, whether or not Steam themselves should make the call of we don't want these games on our site. That's a completely different discussion. But it shouldn't be up to the payment processor to be the ones to decide what is on this site. That's the crux of it.
Meanwhile, they're totally fine supporting transactions on like OnlyFans, for example, which is just filled with explicit R34 adult material.
Oh God, yes.
So this whole like excuse about they need to be conservative, I don't buy it. Like, no, I don't think so.
And yeah, this one right here, the UK, Canada, and Australia have been a bit reluctant about sexual things, especially when it's fetishy. Bullshit. This right here just tanks this guy's argument. UK, particularly UK and Canada, have not been reluctant about sexual themes. Not the slightest. Particularly the UK. Some of the best porn out there comes from the fucking UK, alright? Don't even try and pull this shit about that it's reluctant about sexual and fetish themes, alright? Bullshit. They literally have the UK literally used to have the page 6 girls? I think it was page 6 or maybe it was page 9? Yeah. So that basically tanks this guy's argument that he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Continuing though, let's see what else this person says. The UK, Canada, and Australia always have been a bit reluctant about sexual themes, especially when it's fetishy. But right now, the West is on
page 3. Thank you, Heckle.
To completely ban porn.
By the way, Heckle, curious question, and no, this is not a commentary on you. Do the page 3 girls still exist? Genuine question. Because when I heard about page 3 girls, it was years ago. Do the page 3 girls still exist to this day? And yeah, Hunter, exactly. UK does have one of the biggest BDSM communities in the world. They have some of they are some of the biggest exporters of porn and fetish stuff throughout the world. I have partaken of it myself. There's some UK porn that I absolutely love. On the fetishy side. It's great stuff. So yeah, there's UK being reluctant about this is bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
See the USA, UK, France, Germany, and the rest of the EU. It's a chilling effect that in turn makes payment processors act.
It got removed. They have not been for years. It got removed amongst backlash because the newspapers were sold to children. All right. Well, in that situation, Heckle, understandable. If the newspapers were being sold, with newspapers being sold to children, they removed it. Understandable. It still wasn't. It doesn't detract from my point, though. The UK still has a very big fetish community and is a big exporter of fetish porn.
Conservative, because they want to fully comply with every government. So as much as some people want to believe that banks hold the true power of countries due to the crushing debt, the country can still decide to do their own payment processing system, which the EU is also planning right now. However, the OP also...
Okay, there it is. So, again, we got to take what this guy said with a grain of salt, that the EU is planning to formulate its own payment processing system, which, again, the EU taking the lead. If that's the case, that could be fucking big. And again, granted, it'll be limited. It may not necessarily be worldwide, but it's, again, if the EU is able to create its own payment processing system, that would be a big fucking blow to Visa and MasterCard. And I think it needs it. Stop it. No, Canadian porn is get out of your parka, baby. We're going to be getting down tonight. Hold on while I remove 5 layers so I can get to those panties.
Needs to be corrected. The removal of incest-themed games, is actually nothing to do with this, but everything with the UK and Australia.
I think you forgot about the ban this sick filth report when an adult anime tried to get a BBFC classification and was refused, with even the sequel being heavily edited.
Demonics, I'm unaware of that. A BBFC classification. What's a BBFC classification? I don't know about the report you're referring to. Unfortunately. Couldn't tell you.
This guideline is in there now because MasterCard/Visa has been pressuring all their partners
to
not
hadn't heard
just
about
remove
demonics.
porn, but nudity because of the shifting situation in the West. Mortal Online 2, for example, has 0 sexual content, but they had to remove nudity because of the payment processors.
No, this passing, it's the Newfoundland lobster claw. You're saying... Yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about. The Newfoundland lobster claw. Yeah, for those of you that have no clue what I'm talking about, no, I don't think that's a real thing. I've never heard of it, but it was a joke from How I Met Your Mother when Barney was talking about sex positions in Canada and brought up the Newfoundland lobster claw, and Robin said, forget about that. Those Newfies are crazy.
Just remove porn, but nudity. Because of the shifting situation, pressuring all their partners to not just remove porn, but nudity. Because of the shifting situation in the West. Mortal Online 2, for example, has 0 sexual content, but they had to remove nudity because of the payment processors. So this isn't about discriminating the Japanese.
Yeah.
You will see this happening to Cyberpunk and Witcher 2, which will have to retroactively censored within 2 years or be pulled from Steam, because after those 2 years, the EU will heavily enforce the new provisions in the DSA, which will basically be the end of mature themes on the internet and for entertainment media. I don't know. Someone else sort.
I'd say incest games has actually nothing to do with this. Guidelines there because pressuring your parents not just moving the day. Right, okay. So yeah, and again, this is all because of Visa, MasterCard pressuring their partners. Again, Visa, MasterCard doing this.
There's no proposal that would lead to a complete porn ban in Germany that I know of, so I heavily doubt the rest of your post. Response saying, he talks about the age verification thing. That's a new system. That a new system is planned with ID, license, or face recognition, which aims to protect children. Lol, but is more likely to be more likely about a step-by-step control over users, just like China already has. Weird to think it's about banning porn. Yeah, so that comment is more along the lines of what I'm thinking. I think the going after, as mentioned, I'm repeating myself now, but yeah, I think going after certain types of adult material is really just a guise for them to test just how much control they currently have, and I think
absolutely
it's reasonable to expect that they're projecting to have far more control in the future, and they're going to keep
lesbian, so am I,
can get away with such things. And again, I think there's probably some politicians behind the scenes who are heavily in favor of this stuff too. It's just people who like to have control and power over others can use this sort of thing to facilitate them having more power and control over others. Guess what? A lot of politicians fit that bill. A lot of corpos fit that bill. Seems like they would have a great partnership together in this sort of thing, doesn't it? Of course, that would be bad for all of us. I'm going to leave it there, though. Let me know what you guys think about this stuff in the comments. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed my coverage. Appreciate you. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. This is getting really fucking bad. This is getting seriously fucking bad, because if they're able to facilitate this level of control over companies like Steam and the content that they will allow, do you really think they're going to stop there? Wonder why debit cards don't have a transaction fee, but credit cards do, even if they're both guaranteed by Visa. Debit cards linked to checking are access to tangible worth that is constantly accruing interest by the bank investing. You are charged processing fee because they are betting against your daily interest. Credit cards are not tied to tangible worth, and so there's not offsetting interest to wash against the transaction fees. I am not a finance guru, Gramps, but that sounds about right. The bottom line is that it's giving too much power to the credit card companies. And let me hang on a second. Let me see if I can find this. What's this group? Ah, here we go. This could be it. Hang on. Nope, that's not it. What was the name of that group? Well, when you guys dropped the name of that group, I forget what it's called. The name of the group that's been lobbying Visa and MasterCard to basically go after Steam like this. What is it? I forget what it's called. Shit. One of you guys mentioned it, and for the life of me, I can't think of what it was. Collective Shout. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we go. This is the group. This is Collective Shout. Yeah. This particular group is very anti-porn. And they're responsible for going after Visa and they recently did a thing where they set Visa and MasterCard. Well, let me find it. Yep, this is it right here. Yeah, demand payment processors stop facilitating SA, incest, and child abuse game sales. Yeah. So they are the ones that went after, they're the ones that lobbied the credit card companies. Yeah, it's time to make credit card companies and payment gateways like PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard see that profiting from first player gamified violence against women and children isn't good for their reputation. And so they're the ones that lobbied Visa and MasterCard to threaten to pull payment processing if they didn't bow to it. And again, you can make the argument about where they basically, you can make the argument that Steam should not be selling games that contain this. That argument can be made. The debate, the back and forth on whether or not Steam should be allowing this absolutely can be a discussion. Certainly, it should not be up to the credit card companies and payment gateways to be the ones to make that decision. I don't know, Ryvan. I don't know. But these are the ones that are in the news. Collective Shout is the one in the news recently that went after the credit card companies to go after Steam. And they're going after the hardcore stuff right now. But how long before they go after stuff that their delicate sensibilities can't handle? Yeah, they're going after Playboy. Here's the thing on Playboy. They want to stop Playboy. Because they're saying distribution of child exploitation material in Playboy magazine archives. Playboy's never done child exploitation. And then they're doing exploiting women now dead, including victims, to flog products and services. Which is them saying, okay, a playmate is dead, so you should never sell their magazine again. So they're going after Playboy, which in the scope of porn is one of the most lightweight fucking things in the porn industry. Playboy is one of the most softcore porny things you will ever see. And they're going after it, trying to shut it down. That's what this particular group is doing, and they went and this particular group went after state. Yeah. So that's what we deal with. And it's not so much like we see these activist groups going after porn all the time. You see all of these pearl clutching, I don't know, devout insert religious faith here, clutching their pearls and going, oh, think of the children. Like, you see that all the time. It's no big deal. But when they lobby the payment processors who have global control over every fucking business on the planet, and the credit card company says, okay, let's do it, now we have a fucking problem. Now we have an absolute fucking problem. And we're collect.
How much you wanna bet they're supportive because girl boss empowerment toe?
They support OF because no, the collective group doesn't support OF. Visa and MasterCard are fine with OF because it's making them tons of fucking money. OF makes Visa and MasterCard more money than Steam does. I guarantee it. No, correct, Mike. That's what I'm saying. It should not be up to Visa, MasterCard, or PayPal what content is provided. They should not be the arbiters of what content should be available and what should not. It should not be their call in any way, shape, or form.